This is Creative to Creative, powered by Motion by Design.
Did you find that when you were running an agency, especially towards the end, I'm sure you took the same sort of journey as many, where you end up progressively getting off the tools more and more and focusing on the business, and then you end up focusing on the client problems, and you really, I personally quite enjoy finding those solutions, the little problem that extrapolates within a client. Do you sort of see that as now you're doing that and you're only doing that and not worrying about the engine and feeding the engine over here at the same time? Are you enjoying it more doing that?
I think that's a very perceptive question. And yes. Here's the thing. Even though I'm a creative person and I always loved the craft and the work, around year 10 of running my agency was when I was no longer on the box. And my team, they even somewhat celebrated firing me, saying, "You're no longer in the chair, you're not on the box." And I missed it for a little while, but I so enjoyed running the business. I was probably the lead sales guy. So I enjoyed traveling. I enjoyed building relationships with our clients. And I was the one that I took a lot of pleasure building the stage on which others would perform. So I had creative directors and animators and designers and producers, and I loved seeing them take the stage and do the creative work because they were better than me. They were just more talented. But if I could be out there in the world forming a relationship with a TV network that needed to relaunch, and the relationship that I could forge with them and gain their trust, and then my team would come in and do that amazing project, that for me was a dream. And yes, as things then evolved to what I do now, people often ask me, "Do you miss the days of running Impossible? Do you wish you could go back and be doing the creative work?" And I really don't. I feel like I should miss it more than I do. But the thing is, now I actually vicariously get to experience all of the fun part through my clients, right? So if I was advising you and I'm helping you win this giant piece of business and we're doing this amazing project, I get to enjoy all of the fun of my clients that are taking down these great projects and producing this brilliant work. And I'm not the one there at 3 a.m. trying to fix the bug in the render. I'm not the person there, trying to, figure out how to schedule the next freelancer that just, bugged out and flaked on me. So I love what I do. It's what I do now actually taps much more of my passion and my talents and experience than when I was running my studio.
Yeah, nice. Do you feel like that progression from, service-based to scale up, scale down? I've heard that many times before, where I always relate it to a snake eating its own tail. For some reason, you're sort of, within a flash, you're a massive conglomerate of creatives, and you're like, I don't know how I got here. I've now probably got a little bit of time to think about a direction and where to go. Do you think at that point it's quite common in the creative space across your clients you've seen that people sort of peak and then sort of, I guess, bring it back into that core skill set, but then also maybe even look at moving into something similar to you are now in consulting?
It's not very common because I think creatives fancy the idea of, I really just want to produce great work, make a good living, and just do that for the rest of my life. Most of them don't have this hardcore business mindset that says, I'm going to grow, I'm going to scale, and then I'm going to exit and be rich and get a payday. That's very, very, very rare in our industry. So instead, I find that these business owners, they are so talented as creatives and talented as business owners that their business starts to achieve a certain level of success and they quickly become overwhelmed, right? Like once you're running $1 million a year business, certainly once you get to 2 or 3, it is overwhelming and your success almost becomes a new challenge. Like how do I hire people? How do I handle taxes and payroll and finances? And how do I manage clients? How do I generate new business? How do I pivot and evolve now that AI is here? I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So I think most studios, once they reach a certain level, and some of them it's 2 or 3 million, some of them it's 4, 5, 10 million, maybe it's 20 million. Very few want to go beyond that. And there's a lot more reasons why, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned about getting to that 1 million or 2 million mark, and then you said these people might not know about payroll and taxes, and I was like, the dread across my face. I was like, oh my God, imagine getting to that point and not knowing you had to pay taxes or how to pay your team. It would be horrifying. Horrifying.
Yeah, there are these 7 ingredients that I talk about of 7 areas of business. One of them is creative, like doing the work. That's one. And then there's other things like sales, marketing, production, finance, right? Operations. I mean, it just, each of those areas, you could almost spend a career mastering those things. So, and by the time you get to be a 5 or certainly a $10 million a year studio, you as the owner, you have to have an understanding and to a certain degree, a certain level of mastery of all that. And if you don't, any one of those can kill you, right? Like if you're no good at sales, then that will kill your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of all of the creatives that you've worked with and people you've helped, what are some of the commonalities, I guess, you see, and potentially whether it's pain points or skill sets that, freelancers or small agencies would need to develop further? Do you see any sort of red flags that our industry is just clearly forgotten about,
Well, commonalities, I would say one thing is all these creatives that are also business owners, they're really incredibly good and kind and generous people. Surprisingly so. Like there's something just about the creatives in the world that they're happy to share, they're happy to connect, they're happy to help other people, which I think is incredibly refreshing to be in an industry where there's so many amazing humans. And then I think, was your next question sort of like, what are the common challenges or common shortcomings that maybe they have?
If there was sort of one thing that you can see as a major point of difference that, our industry is lacking, whether it's a finance sort of acumen or the ability to, make sales or price accordingly, or, there's obviously lots there, but what's the sort of main kicker you've found apart from all of them?
Yeah, I was going to say you named a few good ones there. I'm like, which one should I pick? I will say the one that I think is the most vexing that comes back up is sales, because if I'm in a room, I'm in a conference full of a bunch of owners, and I say, who here thinks they have a sales problem? I swear to God, every hand goes up. And what's strange is the guy that's running a $20 million a year studio, his hand goes up just as fast as the lady who's running a $2 million a year studio. And what that tells you is that everyone struggles with mastering this to the point where they can delegate it and relax knowing that it's taken care of. And part of it is because mastering that is like, it's almost like solving the infinite riddle, because sales is constantly changing what the market needs, how to create solutions. You have to be a great communicator. You have to understand, of course, pricing and how to build relationships and all this. And the other thing that's interesting is there's something about the business owner that makes him or her the best salesperson. And it's like, they almost all say, I hate doing sales, and oh my God, I'm so freaking good at this.
They're the best, but they're also the worst.
Yeah. It's a really unusual combination. So part of my job is often to unleash, sometimes it's to help the founder learn to love sales. And it's a mindset shift, and they start to realize, oh, this is actually really fun. And if I do this well, oh my God, so many things become possible. So yeah, that's a common thing. But the other things you mentioned are actually really other really good examples.
I'm sure they're all very common across the industry. Like, it's very hard to obviously put a value on time, and you know, some people obviously get connected quite well to their artwork, and things take a bit longer. And you know, pricing something to the value these days, especially with tools like AI coming into the market, is becoming more and more difficult.